Okay, so one of the things that good marker. One of the things that we need to outline is what would be your requirements for the form and massing of the building, right? So there are a few requirements. I'm going to probably have 3 floors, which don't necessarily have to be floors. All that means is that they have to be at different elevations. So that looks a little bit like this. 3 floors can be either 3 entirely separate floors that have stairs that bring you from one to the other, full flights of stairs, or they could be directly on top of one another. It's up to you to figure out the layout. This is in section, by the way. It could also be sort of a split level or just at multiple elevation changes that just have a couple of other vertical translation stairs just from one tiny little step up to the next. Or you're actually open to, I'm open to you guys exploring the idea of separating your program into bits and pieces. So if you look at it in plan, I'm absolutely okay with you having separate program blocks. And then figuring out some architectural way to connect them. Okay, so for the video's sake, I'll probably take a picture and then drop this into the file somewhere. So that's just your first formal requirement. The other one is your envelope. So I'm going to require that each of your massing blocks has 2 rectilinear sides that are at 90-degree angles, at right angles. So that essentially means that they're primarily, one corner of your building is absolutely going to be a right angle. Your other requirement will be that one of them will have to be at also a linear form, but at a different angle than a right angle. And then the last of which is that it's going to have to be a warped surface. So the warped surface can go a number of different ways. It can be proud of the envelope of the building. It can be set within the envelope of the building, or it can intersect, which would be something kind of like this. The envelope of your building, or massing block. It could be multiple buildings. Okay, so is that clear?
So it's meant to be kind of like surface?
What's that?
What does that mean? Minor 190?
190-degree angle corner. And then you'll need one other angle. And then one warped surface. Okay, so I'll repeat that. You need one of the angles of each of your massing blocks to be at a 90-degree angle, the other one at some other angle, and then one of your faces of your massing block will have to be a warped surface. Now, here's the other part of this, would be your roof. Your roof cannot be flat at all. So it will have to be either triangulated or warped or some other form that you come up with. Okay, so this is, the only requirement is that it's irregular. So why do I say that? And the reason that I say this is because that opens up possibilities to relate back to this other envelope requirement, which is your warped surface. Actually, I should say warped surface. Because triangulated is also okay there. Okay, so this is all massing. What I want to do is just put together a quick example of how you would go about that. And just kind of walk you through some scenarios of playing around with form and massing before we move on to our own sort of design exercise. And we're going to relate back to our diagrams as well during that process. So I guess I'm going to first show you an example or two real fast. Well, no, you don't need that. Never mind. So basically, if you're approaching the 90-degree angle, the other angle, and then your warped surface, it's pretty simple, right? So if you start off with a regular box, and remember, we're dealing with roughly 800 square foot program blocks that these are going to be grouped into. So that would be a 20 by 40. So I'll do at 40 feet, comma 20 feet. And I'm going to make it, let's see, these are single story, so I'll make it 12 feet high. All right, so rapid prototyping style, the best way to get that first, well, I mean, you've already got one 90-degree angle, because if you look at it from the top view, that's good to go. If I just Control-Shift-Click and grab this edge and yank it out, I've got my other angle. So I made a box. It had the dimensions of 20 feet by 40 feet by 12 feet tall. And in order to get two of the requirements of that envelope, all I have to do is just grab an edge and yank it out. That immediately gets you your 90-degree corner and then your other corner here. Likewise, if you want to go in, you can do the same thing that way. You can pull it in for your massing. Of course, remember that you're going to need approximately the same square footage, so if you pull something in, you're probably going to want to also pull it out on the other side. Or, after you've pulled one corner in, you'll want to make an adjustment by hitting Control-Shift on the whole face and pulling it out slightly to elongate it. So another check for you guys real quick as you're kind of playing with the very simple footprint is to type in area. And you can type in, oh, you know what? Oh, I think you have to explode it. I think there's a way to do one though. Hold on, Control-Shift, that, area. So that adjustment that I made just made that one 822 square feet, which is close enough. So I'll get rid of that original one because I like this one a little bit better. And so the last part of the requirement here is your warped surface or alternative surface for one of your walls and your roof, right? So the simplest way to do that is to say, all right, I'm going to explode this, get rid of the roof. And then I'm going to figure out which wall I'm going to eliminate and actually develop into a different warped surface wall. So the key is I need to retain one of my 90-degree angles, and I need to retain one of my alternative corner angles. So my plan here is actually to think outside of the box. I'm going to split this wall into a piece, and then I'm going to take this acute corner and I'm going to develop that into something architecturally significant. So that looks like this. I'm essentially just going to do a line, and I'll draw it across the surface there, and I'll say trim. Grab that as the cutting object, grab the surface, trimmed it off. You can get rid of that and delete this. Okay. So, something that you might want to consider at this point is what kind of roof do you really want? Do you want a triangulated roof? Do you want a warped surface roof? What we're going to do is explore. You already know how to do triangulated roofs. We've done that enough, right? You split it, you do a rotate 3D, and you can play with it all day long. So in the next video here, I'm going to go through a couple of other ways of developing warped surfaces that you can kind of throw into your tool belt and reference in the design process. And so my suggestion is, I'm going to take this pretty slow. I suggest that you follow along with me, and this is just exploratory. It's not necessarily for your design yet, so just follow along with me explicitly, and then you'll have some experience doing it so that it's not difficult getting back to it during the design process. Okay, so what questions do you have? None so far, okay.